So, 10 signs a deceased loved one is coming to visit you and to let you know they haven't forgotten you, they're still around you, they see what's going on in your life, and that they're still alive. They're not dead. Okay? So, their physical body's not here, but their soul, their spirit, their who they are, they're still alive. So, here's the 10 signs. And this is so common, we got to go over them. So, number one, phone calls. Did you know it's reported many, many times, and this has been going on since the invention of the telephone, of deceased family members or loved ones using phones and communication like that, like tape recorders, answering machines, voicemail, cell phones, old analog phones, to relay a message. I've had people comment on my channel about it. This is a known phenomena. And some of these phone calls, they actually connect with the person in real life. They give you a short message that sounds far away, but you know it's them. And they're not actual, you can't have a conversation with the person, but you might see a voicemail and there's nothing there. Or a call might come in, there's like static, and you hear a hello, and you know that voice. Yeah, thumbs up to that, right? So phone calls, that's one way. The next one is kind of uncommon, but it does happen. It's when someone is in a deep dream state or a meditative state, their soul or spirit can actually pop out of their body temporarily, and they can talk to their deceased loved one in another plane. And it's the closest thing to like permanently dying, but then you return to your body. Okay. So many people have experienced this. I'm not going to go too deep into it because it's kind of rare. So the next one is more common, and I've talked about this many times. It's seeing your loved one in your dream. So these are called visitation dreams, and your loved one is trying to comfort you. And the only way they can do this is through your dreams. And so these are different than regular dreams because you wake up and you say, these are more real than any dream I've ever had before. They were more real than real. The colors, the sounds, the smells, the scents, it was like I was really there. Yeah, that's a visitation dream. And most people that have had it say they felt much better, like some closure, or they had comfort after having that. And they even vividly recall this dream even years later. That is the hallmark of a visitation dream. And I've had lots of people comment on my channel about that. So that is a known phenomenon. The next one is you're not necessarily leaving your body, but you might be in deep prayer, or you're dreaming, or you're meditating, but you're, kind of like when you do yoga, you close your eyes and you're kind of in that really meditative state. It's easier for your loved one, your deceased loved one, your departed one, to communicate with you when your brain waves are in that very relaxed state. And the deceased, again, they want to reassure you, the living, that they are okay and that they're still alive. And so that's why I love kind of shutting down my mind. And now, again, I personally have experienced my father, my loved ones in a visitation dream and stuff like that. But do you know that I get ideas for my videos when I'm in a very deep, relaxed state, and then something will pop in my mind and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a video about this. And so not only are your loved ones visiting you, but I do think you get guidance, whether it's you're trying to solve a problem, you're trying to come up with that idea for a novel, or, you're trying to just come up with something creative, artistic. You're just tapping into that other dimension. That's what I think. But anyway, it's a common thing that people talk about all the time. So that's one of the signs. Another one is really getting a look behind the curtain or a glimpse beyond. And so this is when people will feel like the departed is actually showing up in the same room as you, and that you get a really quick vision or like just a glimpse into the other side. And so these visions, like you're seeing the deceased as if they were 2D or two-dimensional beings, almost like a movie projection. You're not seeing them as a three-dimensional human form, but you're seeing a quick glimpse of them. And you almost think it's like, you think you're imagining it, But no, they are projecting it from the other side. And so what you're seeing is a glimpse of them from heaven or the other side. Okay, so that's just getting a glimpse from beyond. The next one is actually seeing partial or full 3D apparitions or appearances. So your loved one might have the energy, or if you cannot get any peace, they might come to you in a partially mist form or a hazy form or a full-on, full-body apparition. And they may even appear like they look like a regular human person, full body and lifelike. And I've had a lot of people on my channel comment about that too, that they've seen something and it was like, it just looked like a regular person, but then they slowly disappeared, right? It's so weird. Do you know what? They say most of these type of visions, guess what room in the house it happens in? The bedroom. And it makes sense because that is when you're at your most restful, you're in that meditative kind of between sleeping and dreaming state. So most of those happen in the bedroom. It does make sense. So yeah, we're most receptive to these in that wake and dreaming state, right? That hypnagogic state. Okay, this one I love. The next one is smelling something, right? You smell a perfume, a fragrance, a pipe smoke, a cigarette smoke. I've talked about this on many of my videos before. I've experienced this as well. You might suddenly just get a little drift or a waft of pipe smoke, cigarette smoke. That's my mother's perfume, whatever. Other common things could be their favorite food that they used to love or that they used to bake, or a particular flower. Most people say roses, things like that. You could be sitting in an office in winter and all of a sudden you smell roses, right? Or you're sitting in your loved one's home or even your own bedroom and all of a sudden you smell pipe smoke or roses. That is them trying to communicate with you. Now, I have to say, because I am a physician, there are times when people are smelling unusual smells, especially if it's things like burnt toast and more acrid cigarette smells. That could mean a bacterial sinus infection and sometimes even a brain tumor. So, but I have smelled, like when I lost my mother-in-law, I smelled cigarettes all the time, like soon after that, and in our bedroom. Well, we don't smoke. The neighbors don't smoke. I even went outside and was seeing if I could smell that same smoke, and I couldn't detect it. And I was smelling that. I did a video about that. But I know a lot of you have had that too. You say, oh gosh, I walked in this room and I smelled pipe smoke and there was nobody around, right? You know the distinctive smell of pipe smoke. Okay, so the next one, touch, right? Oh gosh. After your loved ones has passed away, you might feel a reassuring hand on the shoulder, or something touches your head, or someone pats your back, or even the feeling of a hug. I have had that before. I was lying in bed talking to my husband about our mother-in-law, who we love dearly, who passed away, and I'm laying on my side, and I felt this electric blanket, like a blanket covering me, made of little electric sparks, and it was all over. And I was even like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling something right now. I've never had it since that I can remember. Electric sensations all over the half of my body, like someone was laying on me, giving me a reassuring hug. It wasn't ominous. It wasn't demonic. It wasn't evil. It was like this electric blanket, like tingly, like little sparks. It was weird. I've never felt, well, you know when you touch a blanket right out of the dryer and you get that little spark? It was like that, but not as painful. And it was all over the exposed part of my body, like someone giving me a reassuring hug. That was wild. Well, that's what this is about. You can feel a hug, a pat on the back, a reassuring touch. And you know when you're married, or say you're in a common law marriage, you've lived with your significant other for years and years, greater than 10 years, right? You know the touch of your husband or wife. You know that. You know, like, oh, they used to pull my earlobe, or, they would kind of like smack me on the shoulder. Like, you know that. So you know when to recognize it. And you know the touch of your children. You know how they would run up to you and hug you and where and whatnot, right? So I love that one. That's a good one. So the next one, and I've had this happen too, hearing a voice, right? How many of you have commented that you have heard your loved one? I heard it too. I was in the hypnagogic state and I heard my father yelling my name, and it woke me out of a nap. And I was like, that was my dad calling my name like he always did, like yelling my name at the top of his lungs. That was my dad. Yeah. So yeah, hearing the voice of the departed, they're actually called auditory ADCs. Very, very common. People report it all the time. So some people hear an audible voice that other people can hear too, and some people hear it internally. Like I have heard a hello before, like it sounded like it was coming from, this is going to sound weird. That's when some of you tune out. You're like, she's ridiculous. I heard it like inside my ear, not inside my brain, not out here, but it was like in my ear, almost like the little voice was like right here. And I just heard a hello. I don't know who that was. I did not recognize the voice, but it was like a tiny little, almost as if it wasn't Tinkerbell. I know, but it was almost like something the size of Tinkerbell was saying hello in my ear. I know that sounds weird. I know that. But yeah, so you can hear the voice from within or externally where other people hear it too, a disembodied voice. Very common for both of those. So people who have experienced this phenomena say the voice is definitely not their own. I know my internal voice, like when I'm thinking through a problem or I'm coming up with differential diagnoses for a patient and I'm thinking it through and I'm hearing my voice, I'm hearing my internal voice. But you know when it's a voice outside your own, and you know when it is your loved ones. That's what this is hearing this voice. Now, I know people hear other voices too. We know of schizophrenics, but, like I have that other video going over the psychiatrist who is trying to tease out, are these voices of a schizophrenic or are these voices of the possessed? There's that too. I'm not even going to go into that right now. I'm staying with the reassuring things that your loved ones may try to like say your name or say hello to you. That is a thing. And then the last one is there's definitely a difference, and it's the last video I put out about my patient having a haunted house. See my last video on that one. You know when you walk into a place and you are not alone. You know when you sense that presence, like you look behind you like, this is weird. Either someone's watching me or I am not alone. That is called sensing a presence. It's a very common phenomena. A lot of people that have lost loved ones say they have this experience. And it's so strong, feeling this presence, they get the feeling that the person is right next to them. And then a lot of people describe being able to sense their deceased loved one's emotions as well during the encounter. And that's why in my last video, which sparked me to do this video, where I talk about walking into my patient's haunted house, I could feel the gloom, despair, and see the darkness in that house. You've got to see my last video. So that kind of talks about sensing a presence, right? So comment below if you've ever had any of these things. It's just those signs that are the most reported signs of after losing a loved one. Have you guys ever had that? I'm sure you have, right? We'll do a behind the scenes video of this on my other channel, Doc in the Den. And I thank you for being here.